Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Damian. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things. And now we see them in today. We got a very interesting show for you guys. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you want to follow me on Instagram, my name is Charles Tabanzi. That's Ctabanz. That's my handle. Also, make sure you follow Dreamers Pro. Dreamers Pro is the handle, and also make sure you check out the Dreamers Pro podcast that we have pinned in the comment section below. Anyway, let's get into this topic here and let's talk about the NBA. As you guys know, the NBA season pretty much begins this week, right? Players are already reporting. Players have already reported to training camp. Funny enough, I came across a YouTube video probably a day or so ago. It was over the weekend, and it was of a news channel in Los Angeles that covers the Clippers, and they were following the Clippers right now. They're preparing for training camp, and the Clippers are going to be having training camp, I believe, in Hawaii. Imagine, man. I mean, life must be so hard, man. Your training camp is in Hawaii, and then I think they play their first preseason game, I think in Seattle or Utah, one of those places. So I know they're started. I know other teams are ramping up, and I know that Media Day begins this week, right? Media Day begins this week. Kyrie Irving recently came out. He made some comments. So there's a lot of excitement, and things are starting to bubble up, right? So about, let me say, less than a week ago, a big trade happened between the Portland Trail Blazers, the Phoenix Suns, and the Milwaukee Bucks. A trade that saw Damian Lillard land with the Milwaukee Bucks. And when that trade came out, we did a live. All of us, were talking about it. All of us were excited about it. But the one thing that I think shouldn't go amiss is the fact that that trade was very, very complicated. All right, it was a very, very complicated trade because it was a trade between three teams and it involved multiple picks and all of these different things. So this morning I was actually doing some research on the internet, and I came across a video from ESPN featuring Bobby Marks, who was actually breaking down all of the mechanisms within that trade that I think a lot of you are going to find informative and is going to give a lot of context to some of the things that we're going to be saying later on in the show. So what I want you guys to do is take a quick listen to Bobby Marks essentially explaining how this trade works, and then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to that there.
We thought all along Holiday was going to be traded. I thought it was potentially could have been Friday night. I had my note cards with me. I was out at my son's high school football game. I thought he was going to go to Boston Friday night. A little bit of a different package. I thought it could have been more of a kind of Malcolm Brogdon, and then let's just throw in all of our role players, whether it be Peyton Pritchard and Luke Cornett, Blake Griffin in the sign and trade, Jordan Walsh, and then certainly draft equity. Certainly a little bit of a different, they keep somewhat of their depth in this trade. Boston does. The Celtics are a apron team. They had to come within 110% of Holiday's $36.8 million salary. You were looking right around $33.5 million. When you look at Malcolm Brogdon at 22.5 and Robert Williams at 11.6, that gets you within 110%. So it works from their end. From Portland's perspective, they had to come within 125% of Holiday's $36.8 million. Certainly, they did that by taking back less salary and creating a $2.7 million trade exception in the deal here. That's the cap semantics. You could kind of see it over my shoulder here as far as how that works, and we're going to go into the apron restrictions as far as Boston long term. As far as, let's start with Portland here. So at the end of the day, Portland has turned Damian Lillard into DeAndre Ayton, Malcolm Brogdon, Robert Williams, Toumani Camara, a 2024 Golden State pick that's top 5 protected. Hold on 1 second here. I think it's top 5. Let me go in my notes. I'm sorry. I should have had this up in front of me. My dog's probably hungry as can be. Top 4 protected, Top 4 protected first in 2024. It's top 1 protected in 2025, and then it's unprotected in 2026. So that is a real pick that Portland will get. There's also a 2029 unprotected first from Boston. Remember, they also got a pick swaps in 28 and 30 from Milwaukee, and then 2029 unprotected first. So that is a nice haul that the Trailblazers were able to turn into Damian Lillard, and I think there's more coming because you look at it from Malcolm Brogdon's perspective. How does he fit with this roster? He's got 2 years left at $22.5 million. Can you flip him to a team like the Clippers, who we've heard has been mentioned? Does Marcus Morris and filler and a second get you Malcolm Brogdon in Los Angeles, and then certainly are you comfortable taking on that Brogdon second year here? So that's the player to keep an eye on in Portland.
So you heard what Bobby Marks had to say. Now, at the time of that trade taking place, in the aftermath of that, we actually put up a poll on our channel, right? Because I like to get a sense of what our audience thinks on a range of things, but especially when these trades go down, especially when it's a big move and we feel like it's something that could, alter the way things play out in a particular conference. So we put up a poll on our channel where we essentially were gauging the temperature of what our audience thought about that trade in terms of where do they feel this trade puts the Milwaukee Bucks in terms of the pecking order in the NBA. And a lot of people, after that trade went down, a lot of people felt that the Milwaukee Bucks were the best team in the Eastern Conference. And the poll we put up 20 hours ago was, which team is the best team in the East right now? And the majority of the people went for the Bucks. But then something happened, and I believe this was on Sunday. On Sunday, we got another big breaking piece of news, which was that Jrue Holiday, who was a former Milwaukee Buck who had been traded to Portland, had now been traded to the Boston Celtics. And people were messaging me, did you see this trade? Did you see that trade? And I'm like, guys, it's my day off. We produced content for the last 2 weeks. I just want to take one day off to just relax. So people were messaging me about it. And I said to myself, we're definitely going to discuss it today, right? So that was a very, very, very big trade that we want to discuss here and get into the all of the details of it. Now, in terms of the Bucks, what they had in terms of losing Jrue Holiday, when he was there last season, the Milwaukee Bucks had the number one record in the Eastern Conference. They finished with a 58-24 record. In terms of offensive rating, they were 12th though, right? But defensive rating, they were 4th. So the Milwaukee Bucks had a very stout defense, and they had exceptional all-world defenders in Jrue Holiday, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Chris Middleton is a pretty savvy defender as well. And then you have Brook Lopez, who's one of the candidates for Defensive Player of the Year, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, who actually won the Defensive Player of the Year. So we know that. So they traded away some defense by bringing in Damian Lillard. They now buffed up their offense. So we all understood that. But some people were lamenting the fact that, oh my God, they're going to be losing some of their defense in terms of, for the point guard position. So then the trade goes down, and this trade now sends Jrue Holiday to the Boston Celtics, right? This trade sends Jrue Holiday to the Boston Celtics. And now a lot of people are now saying that, wait a minute, this trade could be the trade that pretty much sets these two teams apart in the Eastern Conference. Now, prior to this trade happening, I already thought that Boston and the Milwaukee Bucks were going to be the two top seeds in the Eastern Conference anyway. I already thought that because if you look at Philadelphia, there's always high expectations for Philly, but they always find a way to not make it work. Last year, Joel Embiid won the regular season MVP, and then he had some pretty pathetic comments at the end of the season that really didn't sit well with me. But in this trade, I just want to quickly touch on some things that were said from ESPN here via Adrian Wojnarowski. It essentially said the Celtics are sending Robert Williams III and guard Malcolm Brogdon in the deal they announced, a 2024 first-round pick via Golden State, and a 2029 first-round pick is also heading to the Blazers. The Portland Trail Blazers traded all-star Jrue Holiday to the Boston Celtics. Now, the big news, the marquee name is Jrue Holiday. But some people are saying that they feel like the Boston Celtics probably gave up some depth, especially from the center position. Now, if you know anything about Robert Williams III, he is an exceptional, and I don't use this word lightly. He is an exceptional defensive player. An exceptional defensive player for his position. And I remember looking at some data where they were measuring his impact on the Boston Celtics defense when he's on the team versus when he's off the team. And it's basically like night and day. He is by far their best defender and one of the best defenders in the NBA. He had some injury issues before last season. He only played 35 games, if I'm not mistaken. He dealt with some injuries, but he's a fantastic player. So you lose him. And when you lose a guy like Robert Williams III, and you now think of a potential matchup, for example, in the Eastern Conference Finals, when they're going to be going up against the Milwaukee Bucks, for example, we're simulating this. We're not saying that's what the outcome is actually going to be. Well, you have a guy like Giannis, you have a guy like Brook Lopez. You don't really have any more rim protection where you have these kind of guys going at them, attacking that team. So you lose that depth. It could hurt you. Now, some people say they did add some versatility with Kristaps Porzingis, and it is an absolute fact that Kristaps Porzingis is a versatile player. They used to call him the unicorn at one point when he played for the Knicks. However, he's also had some injury history. But to me, as things stand right now, I think that these are the two teams, the two best teams in the Eastern Conference. They lost Marcus Smart. Malcolm Brogdon didn't pan out the way the Celtics would have hoped it would. I know this for a fact. So get in Jrue Holiday. You get an experienced player. You get a champion. So he's going to bring some championship experience into that locker room, something that hopefully can rub off on players like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and these guys. So I think that Boston has something. But if I'm looking at these two teams, I would give the Milwaukee Bucks the slight edge. Now, Milwaukee does have a rookie head coach or a new head coach. We have to see how that turns out this year. But ever since the Ime Udoka thing, it seems like a lot of teams have now been kind of trending towards getting new rookie head coaches to run their organization. You saw with Darvin Ham. You're seeing the situation here. So to me, I'm going to be very, very interested to see how this thing pans out. I think there's going to be a lot of drama in this particular NBA season, and I think these two teams are going to make it pretty interesting all season long. So what I want to know from you guys is simply this. Where do you think this trade from the Boston Celtics in terms of bringing in Jrue Holiday puts them in terms of the pecking order in the Eastern Conference? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section, and we catch you guys on the next show.